Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Let's talk today about viral infections. Let's talk about what you can be doing today to get your body as strong as possible, but then also what to do if you do come down with a cold or flu or some other type of viral infection. It's going to happen. We get exposed all the time. There's germs, there's bugs, everything all the time, but you've got to know what to do and you've got to take action, because just sitting around and waiting is not going to be effective. So let's talk about what you can do today for these viral infections and for just your immune system in general. How are you going to get your immune system rocking so that you can handle anything that comes at you? So welcome. Hope you guys are doing great today. Excited to have you on. Pop down below where you're watching from. Love to see you guys. We've got all the way from Delaware to California and up in Maine, all the way down to Texas and everything in between. And then especially you guys from out of the country, love to see you as well. I know it may be harder to get some of this information in different countries around the world. So love educating, love getting you guys this information. Also, let me know what you guys are doing yourselves, because remember, this is a community. Hey, Kathy in Missouri and Lisa in Georgia. Remember, this is a community and there's a lot of good information out there. People are doing all kinds of great things. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, great to see you guys. And there it is, California. All right, so here we go. There's two stages that I'm looking at. One is going to be, hey, what can you just do on a day in and day out basis? And then what can you do if you do get that viral infection? And I'm gonna go in depth into things that my family does, things that we have our patients do. You've got to take notes. You've got to share this with anybody that you know that's worried about viruses, that's worried about getting a cold or flu or anything like that. So first thing is just things that we can do day in and day out. So let me know if, give me a thumbs up if you guys are doing things specifically every single day to get your immune system better. So whether that's taking supplements, whether that's actively focusing on your health, anything that you're doing, there's some thumbs that are coming up there. Anything that we're doing to really get that immune system. Yep, there you go. Renee, upped your vitamin C. So here we go. One of the first things that you need to do is you need to stabilize your blood sugar. We want that between 85 and 110 all day long. So if you poke your finger, check your glucose morning, night, before breakfast, after breakfast, sleeping, whatever it is, your blood sugar should be 85 to 110 all day long. That's going to inhibit this big insulin spike, which causes inflammation, that decreases, hey Shelly, keep up working on that body, that decreases the immune system function. We know that blood sugar spikes can decrease immune system function for up to 4, 6, even 8 hours at a time. So you've got to stabilize that blood sugar. And we've got the notes going up on the screen as well, so you can go back and look at those comments also, but definitely be taking notes. We had Sandy from Maine, good to see you. How often a day should you check your blood sugars, Lisa? So you should do it as often as you need to. Every 45 to 60 minutes after a meal is going to be great. If you go 3, 4, 5 hours without eating, you want to make sure it's not dipping. If it's a meal that you've tested for before and you know that it's going to be fine, you don't need to test after that meal anymore. So some people, they'll do it 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day. For our patients that use the continuous glucose monitor, we get every 5 minutes after 24, 20, however many that would be. That's a lot of checkpoints. But you need to be able to test it as often as you can. But you just need to see where those are going. Go with protein, had a tendency for hypoglycemia. Shelly, what we find is that fat is going to be one of the best things that's going to keep that blood sugar from crashing. Hey, Michelle, up in Estes, great to see you. What should your fasting blood sugar be upon rising? It should be between 85 and 100. Is where you want that fasting blood sugar to be, and you don't want it under 85 throughout the day, and you want it under 110 after a meal, etc. So keep that blood sugar as steady as possible. So the blood sugar variability, you don't want it very much. 15, 20 points at the most. Very consistent pre-meal, post-meal, all those different things. Best thing you can do is get a continuous glucose monitor. Unfortunately, those are pretty hard to get. We use them with our patients, but if nothing else, get the little $40. Brittany will put a link down below to Amazon and get a little finger prick one, 40, 50 bucks. Super easy to get started there. All right, so keep that blood sugar steady. Number two thing that you need to be doing now to get your immune system working as well as possible to prevent those infections, cold, flu, virus of any kind, is to get out and get proper exercise. What happens is either people are not exercising enough, which is stressful to the immune system, or if somebody is exercising, most of the time they're exercising too much and their heart rate level is going up too high and it's stressing their adrenals. So here's the deal. You need to get out at least a couple times per week and do some more intense activity. Intense would mean 180 minus your age. So write that down, 180 minus your age. You want to get out and do that at least 2 times per week, and that could be a HIIT exercise, that could be some sprints on the stationary bike, that could be some type of a strength, doing push-ups against the wall, air squats, things like that. But then every other day you need to be getting out and getting movement. So movement is different than exercise. Movement is, I'm looking out at a soccer field and at lunch I could go and walk for 20 minutes on that soccer field, and that could be my movement for the day. But then I would need to also do exercise today, and maybe within 2 or 3 days down the road, do another bout of exercise. For me, I do some of both every day. I just feel way, way better. I prefer doing that exercise in the morning. First thing, that's the time for me that I'm just gonna get up and go and get my life going. If I wait till afternoon, it's probably not gonna happen, just with kids and sports and practice and everything else. So I like to do it in the morning, up at 4:50, get out on the treadmill, journal, pray. Hey, Katie in Virginia Beach. So again, anybody new jumping on, pop down below. We love seeing you guys all over the country, all over the world. And any tips, any things that you're doing that you think might be helpful to share with other people. So exercise 2 times a week at least to do exercise, 180 minus your age, and at least 5, 6, 7 days a week getting movement. If you think about movement, somebody in Italy is walking to that town to get their 2, 3 miles to get their food for the day. That is not exercise, that is just movement. Somebody in New York City, they're walking 14 blocks instead of taking a cab. That is what they're doing. All right, Michelle, you're doing some combat boxing. Go get them. I'll try not to talk too long so you have time to go. So number 3 is going to be sleep. You need to be getting your quality sleep. Sleep is like the most important thing that that people can do outside of their food and diet and supplements. So Sherry, you are getting outside, or Chrissy, getting outside and get the vitamin D and fresh air. That's going to be one of the things we're talking about. So sleep is huge. How do you know if you're getting good quality sleep? Well, for me, I wake up and I get going and it's great. I feel great. And yeah, Bob or Holly, we can talk about that and give you some ideas on that heart. So here's the thing, you've got to get that quality sleep. If you're not tracking your sleep, if you don't wake up refreshed, you need like a Fitbit or a Ring, something that's going to tell you what your quality sleep is. And if you change different things, if you take some melatonin, if you go to bed earlier, if you do the things we talk about with sleep hygiene. On that note, check out our YouTube channel. Brittany will pop down below the link to that YouTube channel. We've got over 500 videos and you can search them alphabetically on there. So check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. And even if you missed the Facebook video, they all go up on YouTube as well, so you can check those out. So here's what we got to do. You've got to get to sleep at a consistent time. You've got to really get your hygiene ready. You've got to prepare yourself, turn the lights down low, do relaxing routines before bed. I use the massage gun, a lot of different things. So sleep is crucial. Number 4, you've got to do your relaxation, your prayer, your contemplation, meditation. For me, every morning I read good works. I pray. I journal, do a bunch of mental preparation for the day, and I find that really helps my immune system. So you've got to be continually working on your mental emotional side. And then like someone said earlier, you've got to get outside. What do you do for restless leg that affects sleep, Pamela? One of the big things that we do is look at a brain map and see if that brainwave activity is way too high at the sleep time, and that can drive that restless leg syndrome. And then, hey Renee in Florida, and then you can go and do neurofeedback to make that change. So get outside, get your vitamin D. There's tons of research that shows getting, even if you're in a big city and going to a park and being around trees and walking grass and all those things, it's going to be very nourishing to your immune system. So those are the big things that you need to be doing day in and day out. Now let's get into supplements. Let's get into supplements that you should be taking now. You know, again, I say this with a grain of salt, and if you've got specific health conditions, or you need to talk to your doctor, or anything else, you know, that these are not my direct recommendations to you, but it is some really good recommendations that many doctors that have been working with viruses and colds and flus and all the different viruses out there are recommending. So vitamin D is crucial. People always ask, how much vitamin D should I take? You need to check your vitamin D number. You need it to be above 50. That's where all the research is showing that it's going to be a lot less likely to get COVID, to a lot less likely to go to the hospital, to get the ICU admittance, as well as going into the potential dying from it as well. So, Chrissy, does taking melatonin stop your body from producing its own? Long-term taking of melatonin. I'm going to talk a minute here about what you can do if you do get sick in those first few days, and melatonin is one of them. So melatonin off and on is okay, but I would not take it long-term. That's a great question there. So vitamin D, you want your vitamin D at least 50, and if it's low, below that, most people it takes a lot more than they think to get it up where it needs to be. So zinc, you want to take 25 to 50 milligrams per day of zinc. Zinc is going to be one of the best antivirals out there. It is going to get into the cell and stop the replication. Hey Hilda, great to see you. Stop the replication of the virus inside the cell. Remember, a virus needs a host to replicate. It needs a cell to replicate. If you put it out on a petri dish, it's not going to replicate. It's got to get inside the cell, get into that genetic material, and start replicating there. So zinc can be one of the things that can stop that. Vitamin C, 500 to 1,000 a day is going to be great. Quercetin, 250 milligrams one time per day if you're just doing it as a maintenance dose. Do you need to support copper if you take zinc? If so, how much? I have not seen, I know there's reports out there, Brandy, of that copper, but I have not seen that specifically. You know, we've had patients taking zinc for a long time. So, hey Lori, good to see you in California. Your Fitbit reports a good night's sleep. Okay, good job, Deidre. Quercetin for parasites. It's not my go-to for parasites, Shelley, but quercetin is great. It helps drive the zinc into the cells. It's got some great properties to it where it's going to be an antioxidant. It's going to help inflammation in the body, a lot of good things. So here's the deal. Those are going to be some good general things that you can do. Take those on a regular basis. But then if you do get sick, especially in those first 5 days, and especially if you get the big virus out there, here's what you want to do is you want to up that vitamin D. For our patients, we'll go, and it's pretty high again, check with your doctor, whatever you need to do. too, but for our patients and for my family, we'll jump up to 50,000 a day for 3 days. And that's going to help really drive that immune system to get it where it needs to be to fight these things off. We're going to double the quercetin up from 250 a day up to double it to two times a day at the 250. Vitamin C, you can go up to 2,000 to 3,000. The zinc, you can go up to even upwards of 100 on the zinc until you're feeling better. So, but I'm going to warn you on the vitamin D, if you do take that high dose, you don't want to do that like every couple of weeks and go, ooh, I think I'm getting sick again, take it again. That can definitely lead to too much vitamin D. So if you are doing that, Joe Joy, yes, the black seed oil can definitely be helpful. That's a little more in depth than what I was going to get into today, but black seed oil definitely is one of the things that the doctors that are treating these viruses on a regular basis are seeing and can be helpful in there. So another thing that you'd want to add in, especially if you're older, if you're over 60 maybe, and have a propensity to blood clots or inflammation, things like that, is actually taking aspirin and 325 milligrams a day of aspirin, especially when we start thinking about clots, when we think about inflammation. And that might even be something if somebody is going out and getting their booster, something like that, to really calm down that inflammation. So aspirin, you want to load up on turmeric as well if you're taking capsules. Do you take these year-round or just during the winter months? Great question. The D, zinc, C, quercetin, for myself and my family, maybe more that October through March time, and for most people, let's see. Vegeta, vitamin D was 37. How much should I take to get to? Probably 5,000 more on that one to get it up where it needs to be, but double check your levels. Good job, Sheila. Your vitamin D is where it needs to be at that 57. That is pretty darn good. So turmeric, if you do come down with a cold, virus, flu, anything like that, you want to take melatonin. That sleep is going to be really, really important to recuperate. So take melatonin, 10 milligrams per night. Again, it's not a long-term solution, but at least short-term will be great. Susie, can you take too much zinc or vitamin C? Well, you'll know if you take too much vitamin C, you will get loose stools. So be careful of that. And zinc, most people, it starts tasting pretty yucky if they're taking too much zinc in there. What is causing the blood clots? Angela, it's an inflammatory process. Same thing we're seeing when they get their other how do you want to say it, outside antibodies coming into the body. We're seeing this inflammatory process, and we see it in blood work, pre and post, and your vitamin D, Jennifer, they didn't cover. The lab charged $250. So our vitamin D, when we run it with patients, is like $8. It's crazy, and yet they're charging $250. And that's why a lot of doctors don't actually request vitamin D anymore, because then you go and you complain to HR of that hospital or doctor's office and go, I have to pay $250 for this. And they're like, no, sorry, we're just not even going to run anymore, because if they don't, then they hear it from the patients. And so it just stinks. And that's why we have cash prices set up with the lab that we use, and we're in the process of getting a website set up where every single one of you will have access to that same blood work that we use with our patients, food allergy testing, all types of different things. Absolutely, we're going to be able to get you guys this access to blood work for whatever you want. It's your body and your job to be able to get that blood work done. So melatonin, turmeric, aspirin are going to be things to add in, and you want to bump up that C, that zinc, that vitamin D, and the quercetin. Other things that you can do in those first 5 days is going to be antiviral nasal spray and mouthwashes. So we've talked about this a bunch. You can do iodine, you can do food grade hydrogen peroxide. There's a lot of different things that you can do for nasal washes, for gargling. Sometimes when I'm out and about, I was at Costco last night, come home and gargle with food grade hydrogen peroxide. These are really good things that are going to drop that viral load in your nasal passage, in your mouth. Sheila, NAC is going to be great. NAC is a little bit harder to come by nowadays, but yes, NAC is also going to help drive that zinc into the cell as well. And then if we get into a late stage, so if somebody is like 5 to 10 days and it's getting worse, here's the other thing. If you don't have a pulse oximeter, go on to Amazon. Brittany will shoot you one of those, a link down below. The pulse ox, if normally you're 97, 98, 99, your pulse ox, and you start getting down into the lower 90s, you're definitely having a lung issue, and you should take some type of anti-inflammatory. Like the aspirin, turmeric, some of those things get that down, but you got to check that pulse ox. If you drop below 90 and you're usually pretty high, that's a big concern as well. So have a pulse oximeter on hand. And then late stage, if it starts getting worse and that pulse ox is dropping quickly and you start seeing inflammation in a lot of places, some people do need to go on steroids. Again, it's not a long-term solution, and right now, if it's an intense viral infection and you need to deal with it, you got to deal with it. And so getting on steroids short term can be helpful. Hey Nelda, COVID symptoms last 14 days and I was taking all those supplements. Yep. And there are some people that even with COVID doing all these things, it still can hit like a ton of bricks. And so thankfully things like steroids are there, as well as the monoclonal antibodies. This is something that is really profound, and for some people has made a major difference. Even healthy people that I know that have been working really hard on their health, on eating, on all these different things, they end up still not doing that great with the big viral infection out there. And so thankfully the monoclonal antibodies are there. Within day 5 to 10 is when you would want to put that in. You don't want to go too long, but give it a few days to see how the body is doing. So those are some of the late stage things that you can look at. Earlier stage, you can just really up a lot of the things that you're doing and add in a couple more. And then on day in and day out, do these things to prevent and support and nourish your body, because ultimately that's the best thing you can do. There's nothing outside that is going to be as effective as what's inside of our body, that innate intelligence, that immune system that is going to support that body. So great to see you guys. Nebulizer perfectly. So you can use that nebulizer for the nasal passages, especially in that early stage. You can start nebulizing that food grade hydrogen peroxide. There's different recipes out there. And the link isn't the correct one. Okay, Tracy, Brittany will fix whatever she needs on those links. So love having you guys on, tons of information. Pop down below anything that you guys are doing that you found effective, that got you through that last viral infection, and you've got that ability inside of it, but you have to nourish it, you have to support it. Share this with anybody that you know. Check out our YouTube channel. Hit that button up in the top corner. It'll be this little bell looking button that'll tell you and give you an alert whenever we go live. So love having you guys on. Share this. If you've got questions at all, direct message us and we can give you as much support as we can. Yes, that would be great, Marie, as well. Yes, Sheila, love having you. I'm glad you found us. There's a lot of healing that needs to happen in this world. So take care, everybody.